of the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs. I'd like to recognize Senator Bong Revilla, who is present online, Senator Tolentino, and Senator Marcos. We'd like to recognize also Congressman Barbers. Andito ba siya? Yeah, Senator Barbers, the principal author of this measure, who will join us later. Our only agenda for today is House Bill number 7814, entitled as an Act Strengthening Drug Prevention and Control, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 9165 as amended, otherwise known as the Comprehensive Dangerous Act of 2002, authored by Representative Barbers and others. At this point, may I please request the committee secretary to acknowledge the guests and resource persons invited into this hearing. Kumsek.
Thank you, sir. We would like to recognize our guests who are present today in this hearing. Those who are physically present. Coming from the Commission on Human Rights, we would like to recognize the presence of Commissioner Karen Gomez Dumpit. Morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Together with Commissioner Dumpit is Attorney Gemma Parohinog. Morning, ma'am. From the Philippine National Police, we would like to recognize the presence of General Guillermo Lorenzo Eliazar. Morning, sir. Together with General Eliazar is Police Major General Sermonia, sir. Morning, sir. And Police Major General Alfred S. Corpus, sir. And we would also like to recognize the presence of the representatives from the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, Director Randy Pedroso. Good morning, sir. And Director Ronald Alan Ricardo. Morning, sir. And those who are online, we would like to recognize the presence of the representative from the Department of Health. We would like to recognize Dr. Jose Bienvenido Liabras.
Good morning, sir.
From the Bureau of Customs, we would like to recognize the presence of Attorney Karen Ann Yambao. From the Dangerous Drugs Board, we would like to recognize the presence of Yusek Benjamin P. Reyes,
Good morning, sir.
Attorney Philip Joseph Vera Cruz,
Good morning, sir.
and from the National Bureau of Investigation, we would like to recognize the presence of Attorney Ross Jonathan Galicia.
Morning, sir.
From the League of Cities, we would like to recognize the presence of Miss Janelle Rabe. From the Philippine Sports Commission, we would like to recognize the presence of Commissioner Charles Maxi.
Good morning, sir.
Maxi yan, Maxi.
Yes, sir.
Morning po. Good morning, Chairman.
Morning.
May muntay.
Commissioner Arnold Agustin, also from the PSC, sir.
Good morning, Honorable Commissioner, Honorable Chair, Senator Bato, and to all the honorable members. Good morning.
From the Anti-Money Laundering Council, we would like to recognize the presence of Executive Director Attorney Mel Georgie Racela.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of this committee.
Together with Attorney Matthew David or David.
Good morning, sir. Morning.
And also from AMLA, my friend, Attorney Emmet Rodjon Manantan.
Good morning, sir.
From the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, we would like to recognize Miss Adrian C. and Miss J. Mar Estillore. For the record, sir, we have also invited the Department of DILG. Probably they'll be coming up later, sir. And we also have invited, for the record, ULAP, sir, address to Governor Kua. And we also have invited LPP, sir, or League of Provinces, sir. Probably they'll be coming on later, sir. At the same time, we also invited the Chief Prosecutors Association, sir. That's all, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Kumsek. A pleasant morning to everyone. Today, we shall be discussing House Bill number 7814, a measure that aims to strengthen the campaign against the proliferation of dangerous drugs by amending certain provisions of Republic Act number 9165, otherwise known as the Comprehensive Dangerous Act of 2002. We have witnessed more than 1.6 million Filipinos who surrendered in the government's war against illegal drugs since the start of the Duterte administration. While this number may seem rather substantial, this all-out offensive action against drug abuse in any form will continue to do so, as it is the state's duty to ensure the preservation of peace and the maintenance of order in our society. According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, World Drug Report 2020, there are 35.6 million people who suffered from drug use disorder. While the number of drug users are rising, drug markets are becoming increasingly complex. Plant-based substances have remained to be an option for drug users. Recently, almost 140 pots of full-grown, high-grade marijuana were seized at a condominium unit in Taguig, a residential area which children and their families consider as their safe space, not knowing that the marijuana greenhouse is right next door to their homes. And also, I would like to uh, inform the body that yesterday we conducted our hearing on the uh, misencounter between PNP and PDEA at along Commonwealth Road in Quezon City. And it was found out that the the drug lords are already becoming very good in their trade, and that compounds the problem. That really compounds the problem. We are no stranger to the immense lengths that these drug dealers and drug business entities are willing to pursue to further their demonic interest. Thus, we must continuously create improvements to our current legislations. We need to fight this problem on all fronts with the help of all relevant government agencies and every single local government unit, a whole of government and whole of nation approach. Personally, I welcome any legislation that will further strengthen our anti-drug laws and policies. However, we should all be conscious of the fundamental principle in a democratic country like ours that policies and laws should conform with our supreme law of the land, the Constitution. When House Bill number 7814 was passed on third reading by the House of Representatives, many individuals and groups have expressed their opposition on the bill. They claim that the new legal presumptions proposed in the House bill violate the provisions of the Constitution, especially the Bill of Rights. Well, there are several oppositions in this proposed measure. This committee, in the conduct of this hearing, will hear both sides of every argument in order to come up with a legislation that will enhance our laws against illegal drugs, taking into consideration and giving utmost importance to the basic constitutional rights of every Filipino, which the state ought to protect. We look forward to the insights of our resource persons in this hearing. Thank you and good morning to everyone. May we know if there are our colleagues would like to deliver their opening statement. Senator Rebilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Marcos. Habang wala pa how about Congressman Barbers, Ace Barbers? Are you around, sir? Natin yung physically present dito ngayon sa floor, dito sa conference hall. Then afterwards, we go to our virtual attendees. So we start from left to right. Left to right. So Commissioner Karen Gomez Dumpit of the Commission on Human Rights. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. The Commission on Human Rights would like to express its thanks to Your Honor for inviting us here. Let me just give our initial statement, Your Honor. The Commission on Human Rights wishes to express its concern on House Bill 7814, which is the subject of this Senate hearing, which aims to strengthen the country's effort to fight illegal drugs as it contravenes the principle of presumption of innocence as a universal right. In every criminal prosecution, a person shall be presumed innocent until his guilt is proven beyond reasonable doubt after consideration of evidence presented by the prosecution. The proposed measure, which creates presumption of guilt, manifests disregard for the rule of law and basic human rights guaranteed by the Constitution and enshrined in international human rights laws and principles. The proponents would argue that the bill creates legal presumptions but not presumptions of guilt. A legal presumption or a disputable presumption is established when a conclusion based upon a particular set of facts is combined with established laws, logic, or reasoning. In People versus Mingoa, it was held that the fact presumed must have a natural inference from the fact proved. Thus, only a reasonable connection between the fact presumed and the fact ultimately proven from such fact can dispute the presumption of innocence. While the Commission on Human Rights agrees that legal presumptions are allowed under our legal system, the same should have a rational connection between the facts proved and the ultimate fact presumed so that the inference from one proof of the other is not unreasonable and arbitrary because of the lack of connection between the two in common experience. And that was the quote from the same case, Your Honor. To illustrate, House Bill 7814, Section 6 creates a presumption that the owner of a condominium unit where illegal drugs are found is an operator of a drug den. The facts established, owner of condo unit or a lessor where illegal drugs are found, do not have a direct and natural connection to the presumption that such owner is engaged in illegal activity or maintaining and operating a drug den. Because of the presumption that the owner lessor is engaged in maintaining and operating a drug den, the owner of the condo has to provide evidence that he is, number one, the owner. Second, he is not negligent of the use of the property being leased out by ensuring he does not omit or fail to visit, check, or ascertain that the property is being used for a lawful purpose. Third, that inspection and visit to the leased property is done at least once every quarter. If the owner of the property fails to establish all three, it is presumed that he has given consent to the illegal use of the property. And clearly, the presumption has jumped far out from the facts proven. There is no basis or natural connection between the facts proven and the presumption made. Same is true with Section 6, which creates a presumption that a person or persons are involved in the sale, trading, marketing, dispensation, delivery, or distribution. Unfortunately, for the innocent bystander, he or she may presume to have committed an unlawful act just because he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. The bill violates the constitutional precept of presumption of innocence, which is a deep-seated and a core value of our system. It will also pose a great danger or great threat to common people than drug syndicates. The presumptions would hold a myriad of legal complications. The innocent bystander, the unlucky guy who happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the unfortunate fellow who happens to hang out with the wrong crowd. These people will be forced to prove that they are innocent, and it changes the scheme of things because the government, with all its powers and resources, would just have to sit down and watch how these hapless individuals move heaven and earth to prove that government was mistaken. Your Honor, contrary to previous statements in the press, we were not consulted. Neither were we enabled to take part in the House of Representatives. We were invited, if we had known beforehand, would have expressed its stand against the passage of the proposed measure, which institutionalizes, again, the presumption of guilt rather than upholding the rule of law and the application of due process. In addition, Your Honor, let me just state, of course, that there are provisions here that reintroduce the death penalty, and we are, as you know, against this. We are a state party to the second optional protocol aiming at the abolition of the death penalty. The reintroduction of death penalty through this measure will be contrary to the object and purpose of this treaty. And therefore, we will be in serious breach of our commitment of our international obligations and even our constitutional duty to comply in good faith with all agreements that we have signed on to. Last Congress, there was a directive to the Department of Justice to find out and for them to recommend how we can opt out of this particular treaty. And we already said that there is no opt-out provision on this treaty. Lastly, Your Honor, just to be able to say that last October 2020, we had accepted and we even co-authored a UN Human Rights Council resolution number 45/33 on technical cooperation and capacity building for the protection and promotion of human rights in the Philippines. This resolution, to which government accepted and committed to implement, includes the human rights-based approaches to drug control. Your Honors, presumption of guilt and the reintroduction of the death penalty have no place in human rights-based approaches to drug control, Your Honor. And that's our initial statement. We will, of course, be happy and we will be eager to participate in any technical working group that will be created as a result of this hearing, Your Honor. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ma'am, Commissioner Karen Dumpit, for that, for your piece. Your statement is duly noted by this committee. Thank you very much. Next is General Gilor Eliasar, the Chief of the Philippine National Police. You have the floor.
Thank you, sir. To the Honorable Chairperson of this esteemed committee, Honorable Senators and Congressmen joining online, fellow resource persons and other distinguished attendees, a pleasant day to everyone. Sir, on behalf of the Philippine National Police, it is with great honor and privilege to be invited to this deliberation regarding the bill pertaining to strengthen drug prevention and control. Campaign against illegal drugs had always been one of the main thrusts of the PNP, especially during the period when no less than the chairman of this honorable committee, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, was our chief PNP. As the law enforcement champion of the campaign against dangerous drugs, our former chief is a living witness on the gaps and intricacies of the existing drug law. Thus, the PNP is elated to have a representative in the Senate who supports the amendment of the dangerous drugs law in order to address issues and concerns on its implementation. Among the many significant provisions include the obligation upon lessors or property owners to check on their properties whether or not the same is being used for illegal drug purposes. Presumptions against importer and exporter, financier, protector and cuddler, presumptions on possession, especially on selling, vis-a-vis its commercial quantity, as well as presence in places where dangerous drugs are sold, prepared, packed, or manufactured, and presumption to have used dangerous drugs for refusal to submit to drug testing after apprehension. Kasama rin sir dito yung presumption ng ating mga law enforcers and prosecutors if they bungle the cases. So kung maigpit man sir ang iniisip natin para doon sa mga sa ating mga big time syndicates, the same manner, the integrity and safeguards are also included in this proposed bill. Along this line, the entire PNP believes in the wisdom for which these amendments were proposed and thus extends its full and strong support for the passage of House Bill number 7814. Once again, the PNP expresses its utmost gratitude for this opportunity to communicate its position on this important and timely piece of legislation. Rest assured, sir, that the PNP has untiring support and cooperation, especially on matters related to drug prevention and control. Thank you, sir.
Yung, thank you, General Eliazar. Yung provisions ng present law ng 9165, yung regarding sa disposal of evidence, yung mga shabu na nahuli natin, the same pa rin ba ang position ninyo ngayon na gusto ninyo immediately ma-dispose kaagad yan at dapat yung korte na ihingan ng clearance para i-dispose yan, dapat bigyan natin ng timetable or timeline para to act on our manifestations from said courts?
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, it is provided already in the law on the immediate disposal. Siguro, sir, ang maganda doon is yung talagang proper implementation of these provisions. And our recent coordination with concerned agencies through our crime laboratory and the PDEA ay na-execute naman, sir, ito mga ito. But just like what I've said earlier, sir, the implementation of these provisions are provided by existing law ay napakaganda, sir, and we fully support that.
Thank you for that. Nasabi ko yan dahil yun nga, that has been become our frustration, yung mga matagal na nakatambak na mga droga at very tempting yan on the part doon sa mga merong custody ng mga droga na yan. Very tempting yan talaga na i-recycle. Actually, diyan man nag-start talaga yung mga ninja cops noon, di ba? Pag-recycle ng mga droga na nahuli nila. So, dapat talaga mabilis. Ako nga, nung I was the chief PNP, sabi ko, sana maayos itong batas na ito na pagkuha natin yung ilang tons ba yun na shabu na nakuha natin na andon, after picture taking, after makakuha lang na maliit na sample para sa crime lab, pwede sana ibuhos na kagad sa kanal yun para dispose kagad without, pero may batas tayo na sinusunod na kailangan talaga ng order from the court for the burning or destruction of these evidences. So sana, gusto ko nga sana, after makakuha lang ng sample, buhos kagad. Kung saan man ibuhos yan, para tapos na, wala nang ma-recycle. But anyway, we'll talk more about that later. Thank you for that, General Lesar. Next, sino sa inyo sa PDEA magsalita? Si Director Randy Pedroso, you have the floor from the PDEA.
To the Honorable Chairman Senator Ronald De La Rosa, sir, the members of this joint committee, we wish to express our gratitude for inviting us in crafting the House Bill number 7814. And on behalf of PDEA, we welcome this. As such, we have some recommendations for the amendment for using dangerous drugs and controlled precursors and essential chemicals. The proposed amendment states that if found to be not a drug dependent, 6 months and 1 day to 6 years, and a fine ranging from 10,000 pesos to 50,000 pesos. A person using dangerous drugs is at risk of drug dependence. This condition can be addressed to appropriate interventions that are less intense compared to undergoing a treatment and rehabilitation program for drug dependence. Accordingly, the proposed penalty of imprisonment for a person found positive for using dangerous drugs or CPEX who is not a drug dependent is too severe. Said provision, if implemented, might further congest the jail facilities. In this regard, we recommend removing the penalty of imprisonment for a person found positive for using dangerous drugs or CPEX who are not drug dependent. Further recommend replacing it with a provision requiring the said individual to undergo appropriate interventions to address his or her condition. The following are further recommendations for the proposed bill. The amendment of Section 44 to include the board with the assistance of Department of Education or the DepEd and Commission on Higher Education shall issue the necessary guidelines within 90 days from approval of included in the functions of the ADACs or the adults. Should also include an article providing for the promotion and implementation of National Drug-Free Workplace Program for government sector. Since the current drug law provides only drug-free workplace in the private sector. That's all, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Andy Pedroso. Mukhang nakinig ka sa lecture ni Senate President Tito Soto kahapon regarding his Senate Bill number 3, yung creation of PDEA. Nakikinig ka kahapon Thank you for that. Next, may we recognize online State Council Doc Don Rick Ventura, the representative of Secretary of Justice Minardo Guevara. Are you around, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Your Honor.
Yes, go ahead po. You have the floor.
To the Honorable Chair, Senator Bato, to the honorable members of the committee, and to the distinguished guests, good morning to everyone. The Department of Justice certainly supports the program of the government against drug traffickers. However, there are some provisions to which we object specifically on this legislation. Number one of which, and has been adverted by the CHR Commissioner, is regarding the death penalty. However, we do not conform that the foregoing legislation creates a presumption of guilt. It clearly states in the legislation that the presumption is only prima facie evidence, which means the evidence is as good and sufficient in its face and may be rebutted or contradicted unless objection is already stated by the representative of the AMLA regarding the penalty for the persons found positive for using drugs. The penalty of imprisonment is not commensurate to the act committed. The department reserved to file its position paper regarding such other objections, Your Honor. That's all, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Attorney Don Rick Ventura. that please do. Yung sinabi mo ngayon na magpa-file kayo ng yung official position paper. We really, the committee really need your position paper. Maraming salamat. Before I recognize the next resource person, I just would like to go back to Commissioner Karen Dumpit na kayo sa human rights, you are really anti-death penalty. And ako naman, siguro, alam mo naman siguro na I am pro-death penalty for drug traffickers. Ito ma'am, I just would like to present to you a situation. This is not a hypothetical situation. This is a real and prevailing situation na nangyayari sa ating drug situation ngayon dito sa Pilipinas. Sinabi ko nga kanina, I cited earlier, I have stated earlier in my preliminary statement, the results of our hearing yesterday regarding the PDEA, PNP misencounter. Alam nyo, lumabas doon ma'am sa investigation of this committee and that of the NBI na yung drug lord na convicted drug lord doon sa Sablayan Penitentiary, Misamis Occidental, Mindoro, was siya ang nagpapaikot, siya ang nagmamaniobra, mamanipulate para mag-inkwentro yung pulis at yung PDEA. Now ito, matagal ko na ito experience eh. Sabi sa akin mga drug lord doon sa Bucor, sabi nila sa akin, Sir, kahit na anong batas ihahampas mo sa akin, wala nang epek sa akin yan. Wala nang epek sa amin yan dahil hindi man ako takot na mahuli dahil nahuli naman ako. Andito na ako sa loob ng bilibid. Hindi ako takot na makasuhan dahil marami na akong kaso hinaharap sa bilibid. Nag-i-enjoy lang ako dito sa bilibid ngayon. So, kaya gusto ko lang tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung aking drug business na nasimulan dahil habang andito ako sa loob ng bilibid, lumalaki pa rin yung aking negosyo. So, that kind of situation, yun nga, nasasabi ko noon, I am really frustrated na sana kung meron tayong death penalty for lalo na ito mga malalaking drug traffickers, big time, high-level drug traffickers. Sabi ko, kung meron tayong death penalty nito, sana wala nang problemang ganito ngayon. Dahil tapos na, wala na talaga. Hindi na sila makapag-continue ng kailang drugs dahil hindi na takot mahuli. Sabihin natin, Sir, ang counter namin dyan is dapat galingan ninyo ang law enforcement ninyo. Galingan ninyo yung pag-implement ng batas. Well, nandyan na nga eh. Nahuli na nga eh. Na-implement ang batas. Talagang na-enforce ang batas. Nahuli talaga yung drug lord na sa loob. Ngayon, patong-patong na drug cases ang kinakaharap niya. But still, gumagawa pa rin siya ng kalukuhan. So, yung frustration ng law enforcement, ma'am, na sana nabitay na itong drug lord na ito kasi kung hindi itong nabitay na ito noon, wala na itong problema na ito ngayon. And believe you me, hanggang ngayon, yung drug problem ng Pilipinas ay still being controlled by the cartel na nakakulong yung lalong-lalo na yung mga Chinese drug lord na sa loob ng bilibid. Alam nyo, parang cancer yan eh. Halimbawa, yung lahat ng mga incheck, mga Chinese drug lord, nilipat natin sa Building 14, yung sinasabi namin na super maximum na facility. Wala na. Hindi na sila makapag-conduct dahil talagang super maximum na yun eh. But still, meron silang naturo. Yung pumasok doon for carnapping syndicate, yung pinatay yung anak ni carnapping. Pero nung pumasok siya sa loob, natuto siya doon sa mga drug lord kung paano mag-discarte ng drugs. Ngayon, lumaki na siya, naging drug lord na talaga siya doon sa loob. Isa na siya sa malaking drug lord. Kaya, ma-imagine mo lang yung frustration ng law enforcement kung wala itong death penalty ay na talagang matagal natin bubunuin itong problema na ito. Yun lang, ma'am. I'm just sharing to you our frustration. Gusto ko sabihin sa iyo na I really care for life. Ako, gabi-gabi, kung pwede lang oras-oras, nagdadasal ako kay Lord na sana, Lord, walang tao masasaktan sa lahat ng ginagawang police operations namin, lahat ng ginagawa ng law enforcement operations, walang masaktan sa Lord dahil we value life because buhay yan eh. Buhay yan. Pero pagdating naman sa ganun na situation, in order to save yung mga innocent lives na magiging biktima nitong droga, sana naman itong buhay ng mga drug lord na ito na wala nang ginawa kundi maninira ng buhay, dapat naman sana mabigyan ng death penalty. Yun lang yung sa akin. I'm just sharing to you. We both value life, pero pagdating dito sa drug problem, medyo we're on opposite side lang. But for the sake of, alam ko naman na gusto rin ninyo na maggaganda yung buhay ng Pilipinas eh. But yun lang, may basic principle lang tayo na nagkaiba. Yun lang, i-share ko lang sa'yo. Thank you, ma'am. Can you react on that?
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, Your Honor. If I may share mine as well and the commissions. Again, we maintain that the right to life is applicable to everyone. Hindi po pinipili kung masama ang tao o hindi. Lahat po may karapatan na mabuhay. Ngayon po, of course, we have legal obligations. We already stated that. But perhaps the issue is not we know that the issue is not the penalty. The issue is full implementation. In your example, Your Honor, of the drug lord who was orchestrating all these misencounters, the drug operation, why is he being enabled to do that? He is already confined in an area. Where is the accountability of custodians in that particular example? If there was an investigation that showed that he was enabled to be able to orchestrate all these misencounters, all the drug operations, then why are the custodians not made accountable? Yun lang po yung aking thoughts on the matter. Of course, as you said, the Commission on Human Rights is one with this government in trying to ensure that the Philippines becomes free of drugs, no, and also of a crime involving drugs. But we have to do it with respect for the right to life as a bottom line. Thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am. Mabutit na sabi mo yan. Now, again, magdagdag ako ng further frustration on our part. Bakit ganon? Aside sa infrastructure na problema natin, no? Talagang our government cannot afford yet, as of now, to construct state-of-the-art na rehabilitation facility. Kung gaya nga sa Amerika na yung may glass nga in between, hanggang dyan lang yung bisita, nag-uusap sila, may telepono pa, di ba? Yan yung sanang gusto ko eh. But again, masyado talagang ino-observe natin yung human rights ng isang preso. Kahit na tanggalan mo yan ng cellphone, wala na yung physical to physical contact. Kung bibisita doon yung kanyang asawa o kanyang anak, mag-usap yan ng Chinese, yun na, tuloy pa rin ang transaksyon pag alis yan. Kahit na wala ng cellphone, tuloy pa rin ang transaksyon. Ang nangyayari ang pinaka-problema, you cannot deny the visitation rights ng isang inmate. Diba? Nasa basic human right yan. Kailangan mabisita at mabisita talaga yan ng kanyang pamilya. Ang problema lang, yung pamilya na bumibisita sa kanya, yun naman ngayon ang contact niya to the outside world. Magbigay ng instructions na ito yung consignee ng drugs natin galing China, ito distribute mo sa ganito. So, yun po, dagdag lang dagdag frustration lang. That's why we think really of death penalty, but still we respect your position. Alam namin yung position nyo. Sana kami naman, sino bang gusto na may mamatay na tao? Wala man talaga. Pero just to save the future of these mga bata na nasira ang kinabukasan dahil sa droga, maraming salamat ma'am for entertaining my thoughts and responding to my frustrations. Dr. Josebin Benido Liebras, Program Manager, Drug Abuse Prevention and Treatment Program. Representing Secretary Francisco Duque. Are you around, sir?
Good morning, sir. I'm Dr. Bian Liabres po from the Department of Health.
Ito pala yung aking paboritong doktor magaling sa rehabilitation. Go ahead, Doc. We will listen to you. Thank you, Doc, for representing Secretary Duque.
Thank you very much, sir. It's nice to see you again po. The department wishes to thank the Honorable Chair of the Senate Committee and also the fellow senators that are here with us for allowing the Department of Health to be represented in this hearing. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. With the permission of the Chair, I will read the position of the Department of Health as follows. The Department of Health supports the intent of House Bill number 7814, which seeks to strengthen the country's policy to prevent and control illegal drugs and chemical abuse by providing stringent penalties for illegal drug financiers, protectors, cuddlers, and enablers. Drug dependency is a complex, multifactorial health disorder characterized by a chronic and relapsing nature, manifesting its effects as physical and mental health problems. Further, it is similar to a cardiovascular disease as it damages the organs of the body. Nonetheless, drug dependency is preventable and curable with appropriate medical care. Through the Republic Act 9165, otherwise known as the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002, the Department of Health is mandated to oversee, monitor, and supervise all drug rehabilitation, intervention, aftercare, and follow-up programs, including the establishment, operations, and maintenance of drug treatment and rehabilitation facilities, both by government and in the private sector. These responsibilities of the DOH are being fulfilled through its Dangerous Drugs Abuse Prevention and Treatment Program. In view of this, the DOH interposes no objection to the enactment of the proposed measures into law. However, the DOH provides the following comments and recommendations for the consideration of your honors. First, on Section 12, which amends Section 15 of RA 9165. Requiring any person apprehended or arrested for using dangerous drugs, controlled precursors, or essential chemicals to undergo the drug dependency examination or DDE and a confirmatory drug test. This provision will allow the people who use drugs or the PWOODs to contact a DOH accredited physician before any judicial proceedings go any further. The provision enables the severity of drug dependence to be determined earlier, which will result in evidence-based medical treatment for persons who use drugs. On the same section, B, first-time offenders are afforded a minimum of 6 months to a maximum of 18 months aftercare program to commence after the release from a rehabilitation center to be determined by a DOH accredited physician. RA 9165 currently provides first-time offenders a minimum of 6 months to a maximum of 1 year of rehabilitation in a government center and 18 months complete aftercare program. Drug dependency is a continuous and repeating problem for individuals. A flexible time frame allotted for treatment, rehabilitation, and aftercare will allow physicians to tailor suit treatment programs for PWOOD's needs and requirements. On the second part, Mr. Chair, Section 23, amending Section 51 of RA 9165, mandating the local government units to allot not less than 2% of their annual budget to support programs and projects of the Anti-Drug Abuse Councils, or ADACs, and the establishment of Anti-Drug Abuse Offices, or the ADAO. Mandating this, Mr. Chair, mandating proportional allocation will sustain the availability of community-based drug treatment and rehabilitation programs. Further, this will realize the operationalization of the ADACs and ADAOs in all levels of the LGU. Third, Mr. Chair, is to adopt proposed amendments under Senate Bill number 513, which aims to strengthen drug abuse prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation, amending for the purpose RA 9165, otherwise known as the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002, as amended, and appropriations therefore. So on this Senate bill, Mr. Chair, it establishes the following recommendations: establish adequate, accessible, and appropriate facilities apt for inpatient and outpatient services. Allow DOH accredited physicians to determine PWOD's treatment and rehabilitation and recommitment to treatment of subsequent cases that enable an evidence-based approach. Minimize barriers that limit voluntary submission of PWODs to proper treatment and rehabilitation to increase access to appropriate services. Increase public awareness on dangerous drugs through the inclusion of the Department of Health in the publication and distribution of information materials, and to strengthen the DOH capability to carry out its functions under RA 9165 through the creation of a bureau. Furthermore, the department expresses its reservations on the following provisions that can impede the DOH mission of institutionalizing a unified and rational health response. A is the imposition of penalties for less than 2 grams of illicit drugs. Second, imposition of penalties for first-time offenders not to be a drug dependent. And reduction of validity of drug testing certificates from 1 year to 3 months. The Department of Health respectfully submits, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc. We would like to uh, we would like you to please submit your position paper para magamit namin dito sa committee. Maraming salamat, Doc. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Now, I would like to recognize the virtual presence of Senator Tolentino. Senator Tolentino, you want to deliver your opening statement?
Nothing further, Your Honor. I will just be listening and be joining later on.
Thank you.
Consistent with
Thank you.
what you're saying.
Okay, thank you, Senator Tolentino. Next, we give the floor to Commissioner Charles Maxey of the Philippine Sports Commission.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Senator, Chairman of the committee, Honorable Senators, Congressmen, and fellow public servants who are present in this very important meeting. The PSC expresses its gratitude for the invitation and for us allowing the PSC to be part of this very important gathering or meeting in relation to the House Bill number 7814. We express our support to the bill, Mr. Chairman. Allow me to underscore Section 2 of Republic Act 6847. This is the law which creates the Philippine Sports Commission, which states that it is the policy of the state to promote physical education, encourage and sustain the development of sports in the country, to foster physical fitness, self-discipline, teamwork, and excellence for the development of healthy and alert citizenry through a unified national sports promotion and development program. Such policy affirms the commitment of the PSC to stamp out dangerous drugs and substances as their use and proliferation run counter to our declared objective of utilizing sports as a vehicle for promoting health and fitness, discipline, and excellence among Filipinos. The PSC welcomes the addition of Section 23-H of House Bill 7814, which provides that all athletes, professional and non-professional, in any kind of sport shall undergo a mandatory drug test twice a year. Any athlete found positive for the use of dangerous drugs shall be suspended subject to further investigation by appropriate government agencies. And Mr. Chairman, there are athletes who are under the care of the PAC, and we certainly don't like them to be engaged in illegal drugs. We want of sports in the country by protecting the principles of fair play and discipline among our athletes and coaches. The PSC reiterates its thanks to the authors of House Bill 7814 for their continuing support of Philippine sports. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Charles Maxi. Maraming salamat. In line with that, can I ask PDEA, yung bang kasama ba sa list ng dangerous drugs itong performance-enhancing drugs ng mga athletes? Yung gumagamit ng, di ba, para maka bench press sila ng tag 200 kilos, kailangan lang magpaturok ng enhancing drugs. Kasama ba sa list yan ang dangerous drugs?
Yes, Your Honor. Kasama yun, depende dun sa number of chemicals that are being used, but still they are part of the list, sir.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you
Chair?
very much for that. Yes,
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair,
Maxi? Yeah,
can I say
go ahead.
something? The PSC chair, Mr. Chair, is a co-signatory of the World Anti-Doping Agency, and they have a procedure for athletes, especially during international competitions, Mr. Chair. Those who will win medals like bronze, silver, or gold, they will be tested, Mr. Chair, and if those found to be violating the performance-enhancing drugs will be stripped of their medal. That's what the procedure in the international competitions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Maxi. Dahil nga, logi si Senator Tolentino kung yung kanya mga athletes yung mga athletes niya sa kanyang
Boxing.
sports ay
Kickboxing,
ano yung
Your Honor.
ano yun,
Kickboxing.
Senator Tolentino?
Kickboxing, but we're preparing for the Hanoi Southeast Asian Games. And we expect to deliver gold again.
Yeah. Lugi ka kung bulalo lang pinapakain mo sa yung mga athletes, tapos yung kalaban ay nagpapaturok ng performance enhancing drugs. So siguruhin natin na walang nagbabiolate dito.
May kasama
Doping,
po
yeah,
yun,
doping.
Mr. Chairman, na volcanic ash, kaya mas lamang kami. Malakas yun lang.
Tawilis with volcanic ash. Thank you, Senator Tolentino. Next, we call on Yusek Benjamin Reyes, sir. Are you around of the dangerous
Yes, sir.
drugs board?
Good
Sir,
morning, sir.
You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
To the Honorable Chairman of this committee, of course, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, and our honorable members joining us today, Senators Tolentino, Senator Villa, Senator Marcos, and fellow public servants. In behalf of the Senate for inviting our agency in this very important hearing. The proposed bill ties up with pending bills also of representatives. In the past hearings, Your Honors, of the Senate Committee on Public Safety and Dangerous Drugs, the Dangerous Drugs Board have submitted its position on most of the concerns pending before us. Mr. Chair, the DDB emailed our official position on the issues at hand. In general, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, we support the proposed House bill, especially the expansion of the role of LGUs under Section 51 and the provision of at least 2% of the LGU. We likewise support the immediate disposition of seized chemicals, which is already covered by DDB-issued regulations. We favor the removal of court orders for clients who wants to avail of voluntary treatment and rehab programs. Furthermore, we also endorse the proposed amendment forwarded earlier by our colleagues from PDEA. As Director Randy and Dr. Bien Liabres of DOH already mentioned, appropriate interventions can be given to individuals using drugs. We also submit to the opinion of our colleagues from the DOJ with regards to the sections of the amended House bill, proposed bill, with certain presumptions of guilt. Again, Mr. Chair, we look forward to a healthy discussion of issues, and we will support the agreements under this committee. Again, Mr. Chair, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Maraming salamat.
Mr. Chairman.
Before I recognize Senator Tolentino, I just would like to remind sir, that hindi pa namin natanggap yung position paper ninyo, sir. Paki-submit.
Noted, Mr. Chair, we will immediately forward it.
Salamat, sir. Salamat. You have the floor, Senator Tolentino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Just as a quick reaction to the statement given by the gentleman a while ago, and this applies to all other resource persons coming from the national government, I would suggest that you be mindful of the ramifications of the Mandanas Supreme Court ruling, especially if you invoke the powers of the LGUs, and specifically when you invoke your right to partake of an LGU share, especially coming from the internal revenue allotment. It is now incumbent upon you to find ways on how to join, but not being a participant of the table meeting ongoing right now, on how the Mandanas ruling, especially it is really going to be a windfall for all LGUs, on how to bring your ideas to the table, not just through the Senate, but through the ongoing discussions right now within the executive department. How should you get a piece of the pie through the LGUs, as rightfully mentioned by the gentleman a while ago, to support your initiatives insofar as the anti-drug efforts are concerned? Siguro kayo na yung gagawa nun. Find a way through your department, through your secretary, through your agency to be heard, so that when the Mandanas ruling is finally implemented within the next few years, what we're talking right now will be rightfully funded. So I commend that gentleman who mentioned that a while ago, but find a way. I advise all the agencies present here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Tolentino. I think Yusik Benjamin Reyes was very emphatic in his insistence about the 2% share of the budget of the LGUs, because alam niya na may Mandanas ruling na at magkakaroon ng windfall itong mga LGUs. So siguro hindi na gaano mag-uupos itong mga LGU dahil sabi mo nga may windfall na. But then again, I subscribe to your opinion na mas maganda kung dumiskarte sila at their own without going through the Senate through legislation. Yung lateral coordination na lang nila to the LGUs, mas maganda pa yun dahil ang dating doon sa LGU is we are not being directed, or we are not being commanded, or we are not being subservient to the national government as far as this disbursement of our funds. So sila doon sa baba, sila nang dapat mag-decide. So maganda 'yon. Pumunta kayo sa baba, coordinate with the LGUs, lalo magaan sa kanilang kalooban na mag-share. Baka hindi lang 2% ang maibigay dyan sa anti-drug program ng gobyerno. Dahil nga, mas malalaki yung ibang matatanggap. Yun lang, maraming salamat Senator Tolentino for that reminder. And also Yusik Reyes. Thank you, sir. Next, may we hear from Attorney Ross Jonathan Galicia, representing the OIC Director of NBI, Eric Distor. You have the floor.
Proposed measure during the technical working group, and we already submitted our position on our position on the proposed measures, which would include, among others, the issues raised by the Human Rights Commission and the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. Uh, we uh, we raise our concerns with the numerous presumptions on the proposed bill because instead of the government proving the guilt of the accused, the accused will be proving his innocence. Then we're going to have a reverse trial. With respect to the penalty for drug use, uh, the penalty is a violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution because a drug dependent and occasional drug users are not a different person. Uh, uh, this will also encourage drug abuse, Your Honor, because I would rather abuse more drugs because I will only go to treatment centers. Just because of the volume of drugs that I'm going to use will save me from jail, Your Honor. And in the interest of time, Your Honor, we will just submit our position paper on this matter. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Attorney Ross Jonathan Galicia. Andito ka kahapon, di ba, sa hearing natin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. Kahit hindi kita makita sa screen yung mukha mo, but your voice is very familiar. Alam ko, andito yung voice mo kahapon. Thank you for your participation yesterday.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, thank you. We give the floor to Attorney Mel Georgie Rasila, Executive Director of Anti-Money Laundering Council. Sir, andyan ka pa?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead, sir. You have the floor. You have the floor.
The Anti-Money Laundering Council Secretariat would like to thank the Chairman of the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, and members of this committee, Senators Tolentino, Revilla, and Marcos, as well as the counterpart chairman of the Committee on Dangerous Drugs in the House of Representatives, Congressman Robert Ace Barbers, for inviting the AMLC in this very important hearing. In general, the AMLA Secretariat strongly supports the proposed amendments insofar as it strengthens government's law enforcement functions to fight drug trafficking and finish once and for all this crime and its related illegal activities. It will provide this committee a more detailed comment on each of the proposed provisions in due time and in the proper forum in the form of our position.
Thank you. Next, we recognize the chairman of the board and national president of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, Attorney Domingo Egon Cayusa. Sir, you have the floor. IBP national president. Or
Good morning, Your Honor. We apologize, but President Cayosa has a similarly important prior engagement today, so he was unable to attend today's hearing po. But other than that, I was not given any other information to share to this in this hearing po. So I apologize. I'll just relay your message to President Cayosa. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. No problem. Maraming salamat for attending. From the National President, League of Cities of the Philippines, Mayor Evelio Leonardia, represented by Ms. Janelle Rabi, Senior Policy Officer. Are you around, ma'am?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair.
You want to deliver an opening statement?
Yes, Mr. Chair. For the benefit of everyone, we are still finalizing our position paper for the approval of our.
Yes, we gladly listen to your presentation. Go ahead,
Thank
ma'am.
you very
have the
much.
floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We thank the Senate committee led, of course, by Senator Bato for allowing us to express our recommendations on House Bill 7814. We recognize the inputs of the other resource persons, and we thank the inputs of former LCP National President Senator Tolentino for reminding all of us that LGU's fiscal autonomy need to be upheld even with the Mandanas ruling. Even if there will be a windfall of resources, there's also commensurate credible functions from various agencies. So we recommend for the consideration of the body that the provision will be revised to to 2% of respective budgets instead of shall. This reformulation upholds the fiscal autonomy of local chief executives and the flexibility to decide on the specific portion. Still, it gives a suggestion that they may include 2% or even utilize their budgets for related local programs such as intelligence funding, law and security programs. So we hope that Tolentino, that it is incumbent on the national governments to coordinate and advocate to local governments, especially cities in our case, so that they would prioritize the programs that you deem necessary. Again, we recognize the importance of drug control and drug prevention, and we are appealing for the consideration of the Senate and Congress to also uphold fiscal autonomy by including the word may instead of shall. We will submit our final position paper upon the approval of our National Executive Board led by Bacolod City Mayor, LCP National President Mayor Evelio Leonardia. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am, for that
Mr.
word,
Chairman.
may.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Senator Tolentino. Thank you,
Yes,
Ms. Janelle Rabi. Go ahead, you have the floor, Senator Tolentino.
while I used to be president of the League of Cities, I never talked to Ms. Rabe prior to this meeting. But I think the position paper, if I may suggest to the League of Cities, if they would indeed submit a position paper, they must include the functions of the local health boards as it would apply to these proposed bills, because the local health is a health problem. So if your organization, which I used to head, is going to submit a position paper, I suggest that you include the functions of the local health board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Tolentino. From here, you would like to recognize Attorney Karen Ann Yambao, the Ruling and Research Division, Legal Service, RCMG, representing Honorable Ray Leonardo Guerrero, Commissioner, Bureau of Customs. Attorney Yambao, ma'am, are you still around?
Yes, Mr. Chair, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. You have the floor.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I apologize for the fact that we do not have the position paper of the Bureau of Customs yet, but we are going to submit it as soon as it is signed by the Commissioner, and I'm here.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat. From here, we proceed to Miss Angelica Sanchez, Director for Policy Development, representing Government Presbitero Velasco Jr., National President, League of Provinces of the Philippines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning, ma'am. You have the floor.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. I don't know if you can hear me po. The intent of the House Bill 7814. However, Mr. Chair, like as already cautioned by Senator Tolentino and also as already expressed by my colleague from the League of Cities of the Philippines, the LPP would likewise join their reservations in the inclusion of a phrase not less than 2% of their respective annual budgets. Mr. Chair, the League of Provinces of the Philippines has a standing position to oppose any unfunded mandates because including this provision in Section 24 of the bill is tantamount to an unfunded mandate of of the adjective post the inclusion of this portion not less than 2%. However, we would like to propose that we leave it to the LGUs to allocate funds for drug enforcement. At the same time, Mr. Chair, as to the creation of the Anti-Drug Abuse Council, may we propose that instead of the creation of a new council, may this be a subcommittee under the Provincial Peace and Order Council or either the local health board, because Mr. Chair, if we include another council, that would take away the time of our local officials from actually performing their actual functions of governing the local government. However, if we made this council as part of a committee of either the PPOC or the LHB, the agenda on anti-drugs can be made part of the bigger agenda of either the health board or the peace and order council. And lastly, Mr. Chair, the league will be submitting its official position paper very soon, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Ma'am Angelica Sanchez. May we request, this committee is requesting for an position paper coming from your end
We
para
will do that,
meron
Mr.
kami
Chair.
magamit.
Yes po, we will do that po.
Thank you, ma'am. And we are with you as far as fiscal autonomy is concerned. Yun nga, mas maganda yung ganon dahil you will have your elbow room on how to disburse your funds. Baka mamaya, mag-insist dito ng 2% ng inyong budget. Yung pala ay yung probinsya ninyo o yung lugar, yung LGU ninyo ay walang problema sa droga. So, baka useless din yon. Pero kung yung lugar ninyo ay masyadong mabigat ang problema sa droga, baka hindi lang 2% ang ibibigay ninyo dyan, baka gawin pa yung 5%. I salute Senator Tolentino for that dahil galit na siya at almost 2 hours ko na siyang hindi na-recognize. Pasensya ka na, Senator Tolentino. hindi ka nakita ng COMSEC. Thank you for hearing with me. Salamat, Senator Tolentino. Kasi as far as my list is concerned, natawag ko na lahat. Kung meron pa dyan, please sound off para you have the floor. Okay, before we recognize Congressman Barbers, who is joining us in a little bit, we would like to recognize Commissioner Karen Dumpit from Commission on Human Rights. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. We just want to manifest that our partners, NGO partners, No Box and Street Law PH are also in the Zoom room and they would like to make a statement to which we have aligned our statement to that as well, Your Honor. Street Law PH and No Box.
Yes, ma'am. I don't have their names. Please, kung pwede, ikaw na pakitawag. Ikaw nang mag-recognize sa kanila, ma'am.
Mr. Chair.
No
Mr.
Box Foundation, Miss Ines Feria.
Yeah, Novak. Before I recognize Novak Foundation, Senator Tolentino, you have something to say?
Mr. Chair, it was clarified. I thought Novax is the vaccine manufacturer from India. So I got confused, but the lady already clarified. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It's Novovac. It's not Novak, di ba? Novovac ba yun, yung vaccine? Novovac. Yeah. Go ahead, sir, from Novak.
Magandang umaga po.
Lee Edson
Garcia po.
Go ahead, sir. You have the floor.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Ako po si Dr. Garcia mula sa Nobox Philippines. At kasama po ng 26 na organisasyon mula sa civil society, nagpapahayag po kami ng pasasalamat sa pagkakataong madinig sa usapin ng House Bill 7814. Ang dialogo po at konsultasyon ng mga mambabatas sa aming mga kasapi ng civil society para po sa amin napakahalagang hakbang po ito para mapabuti ang mga panukalang batas. Kaya yung una po sana naming hiling dun sa nabanggit na technical working group, sana po patuloy pa kaming maimbitihan para makapagbigay kape ng patuloy na input po, no? Pangunahin po sa layunin ng mga CSOs ay ang kaligtasan, kalusugan at kabutihan ng mga kabataan at pamilya sa komunidad. Kaya naman po kami ay nakaantabay sa mga polisiya at mga batas na makakatulong sa aming gawain. With this in mind, please allow us to make some points for consideration of this honorable body. Proposed legislations must really support and reinforce already existing effective governance systems in the Philippines, especially yung mga regulations po mula sa DOH, DDB, which espouses principles of universal healthcare, mental health care, a whole of government approach, and local autonomy. As a consequence po, ang una naming recommendation, the definition po of dependence under 7814 must be based on the WHO International Classification of Disease. At ang magiging implication po nito, ang approach natin sa persons who use drugs should be under the DDB Client Flow Board Regulation number 7, series of 2019. Ito po ay nagbibigay ng comprehensive range of services including non-facility-based drug-related programs. Para sa mga family and community support services. Ang amin pong sinasabi, itong public health framework, ito po ang ating long-term at sustainable na solution sa drug-related issues. At para po sa aming trabaho sa community, nakikita po namin na dapat pagbutihin natin kung meron man tayong mga babaguhin sa ating mga batas, ito po ay mabigyan ng tulong ang ating public health framework, no? So sinusuportahan po namin yung recommendation ng ating partner mula sa DOH limitation or kahit po yung mga fixed periods for aftercare. Ang amin pong paniniwala sa medicine, ang medical care po, isa po itong clinical decision. So hindi po dapat ito fixed by law at hindi po tayo nakatali dapat sa number of months para mabigyan ng tulong ang mga persons whose lives include drugs. Pangalawa po, sumasang-ayon din po kami sa persons gamit ng drugs, dapat pareho po ang ating pagtrato na bigyan sila ng public health services. Kasama din po ng aming panawag issues. Halimbawa po, yung drug test, isa po itong medical intervention at dapat bago po ito ma-secure or presumption of criminal activity but part of a patient autonomy. Our firm stand po sa CSOs is that there should be no criminal presumption that those who refuse to take drug tests, they should not be treated as criminals or they should not be arrested. Marami po sa mga kabataan, sa ating mga kamag-anak, kaibigan, kapag sila po ay nag-refuse ng drug test as an exercise of their patient autonomy, dapat po walang criminal presumption on that. Kadugtong po nito, yung mga amendments introducing criminal presumptions, ang amin pong pakiramdam, this will endanger our community work and the safety of children and people in the community. For example, the presumption on cuddling or protecting, it will create a chilling effect sa amin pong CSOs at sa mga LGU partners namin. Yung mga civilians, children, especially vulnerable po sila sa language na any person found or is present within the immediate vicinity of a criminal activity. Ang nakikita po namin, these criminal presumptions will increase arrests and worsen pre-trial detention overcrowding in the Philippines, which is already a crisis. Ang Pilipinas po ang may pinaka-congested na prison sa buong mundo. Nakikita din po natin na kahit yung mga barangay chairman natin, yung mga LGUs, meron din pong limitation na ibibigay ang criminal presumption sa kanila. Kasi mas matatakot po sila na mag-innovate at maging creative sa paggawa ng mga public health programs. Dahil this may also agree po with our partner in the CHR that the death penalty amendment for possession of drugs during party, social gatherings, and meetings, ito po ay dapat hindi maisama sa HB 7814. Lilinawin lang po namin na nung binasa po namin yung draft ng 7814, yung death penalty provision po na inilagay ay hindi doon sa mga drug lords or big time na criminal syndicates na tinatawag. Ipinasok po ito doon sa persons who are possessing dangerous drugs, quote-unquote, during party, social gatherings, or meetings. So, yung prinsipyo po ng proportionality, humanity, and yung international law precepts and constitutional precepts natin against reimposition of death penalty, yun din po ang posisyon ng CSO. Finally po, yung 7814, ini-increase niya din yung penalty for drug possession and drug use in times of epidemics or pandemics. Kami po sa CSO, inaaral po namin ito through ethnographic studies at nakikita natin na kapag may challenging life circumstances, tumataas po talaga ang substance use. Ang matched solution po dito ay i-increase natin yung access nila sa client flow services under the issues. The civil society organizations wish that we can have a more inclusive dialogue through a technical working group, our legislators. We will also submit, Your Honor, our and
Mr. Lee Edson Yarcia. Thank you
Mr.
for your
Chair.
input. Maraming salamat.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Senator Tolentino, you have the floor.
I congratulate the good doctor for his presentation, and pursuant to our rules, Mr. Chairman, may the Secretariat be directed to delete my uncalled for remarks a while ago, mentioned in jest, Mr. Chairman, about Novax. Nothing serious, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, take note, Secretariat. Noted, Senator Tolentino. PDEA at saka PNP. If you have amendments, lahat ng problema ng droga, nasasabak na natin, di ba? Na-enkwentro na natin. Kaya lahat ng gusto yung isaksak dito para all-in-one na. Andiyan na lahat. Position paper na lang. Submit ninyo. Thank you. Meron pa kayong gusto magsalita dyan? Ma'am, go ahead, ma'am. Commissioner Dumpit, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Senator De La Rosa. We just would like to add that perhaps when you do create the technical working group for this, and also actually sharing your frustration over the missteps and the implementation of the law, perhaps we can include also the business model approach in trying to take a look at the drug operations. Kasi po, if we follow the money, and then AMLA is here already, we can do so, no? And just to be able to say that this particular measure should be really harmonized with the many other laws that we have already. The Universal Health Care Act, Mental Health Act, Data Privacy Act, yung Anti-Money Laundering Act also, among others, no, including, of course, what was mentioned by all the resource persons present today. And just to say that we will be with you every step of the way, please include the Commission on Human Rights in all the meetings, and we will be happy to share our thoughts on the issues that will be presented. Marami pong salamat.
Thank you, Commissioner Dumpit. Noted po. Your inputs are very valuable. Regardless kung we have different opinions on any issue, but still, napaka-importante po dahil human rights nga yan eh. Human rights, nobody can argue about human rights. Kailangan talaga natin yan.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Rest assured na sa Technical Working Committee, sasama namin kayo. Thank you. Yeah, okay. From here, may we recognize Yusik Echeberry of DILG. You have the floor, sir. Go ahead.
Your Honor, thank you very much. I'm sorry for being late. I just had my panel interview in the CESO. As far as I'm concerned, no, we are really grateful for the leadership of the chairman and of course of Senator Tolentino as well for really helping us on this measures. No, we oppose no object support it. Hopefully, we could also pass the Anti-Drug Abuse Council law at the soonest time also so that we could further strengthen and institutionalize the local government's participation in the fight against illegal drugs, which is a good example. Senator Tolentino was then the mayor of Tagaytay City. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Noted, Yusik Echeberry. Don't worry, yung ating uh, anti-drug abuse law is council law is already for my sponsorship maybe tomorrow or anytime next week. So ready na po, i-sponsor ko na po 'yon. Thank you very much. Hintayin lang natin sandali si the principal author of this bill, si Congressman Ace Barbers. Couple of minutes lang, andyan na siya. Hintayin lang natin sandali para mapakinggan natin yung side niya.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead,
Chairman.
Senator Tolentino.
Yes, may I be allowed to transfer to another committee hearing wherein I intend to participate?
No problem. Akala ko walang
Thank you.
kaunan. Iwanan mo na
Thank
pala
you.
ako dito.
Thank you, Mr.
Go ahead,
Chairman.
go ahead.
I happened to log in as early as 8:30 a.m. because I was informed that your committee hearing would start at 8:30 a.m. So I was there as early as 8:20, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr.
Sorry,
Chairman. Thank you.
Senator Tolentino. Go now to the next committee that you are going to attend. Go ahead. Salamat. We suspend our meeting for a few minutes. taken noted by this, taken note of by this committee. And from here, we will refer the bill to technical working group and to further discuss the position of different agencies and organizations present today. We will also ask our Senate Parliamentary Bureau on the issue brought up by the CHR. So, I would like to thank you everyone for coming over. Yung ating mga kasama na andito sa physically present at saka virtually present, maraming salamat po sa inyo, sir. Thank you very much. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Salamat sa inyo lahat. Thank you.